No, so let's start with some news. Apparently,
Time for some news.
is this going to be?
Oh,
we're
no.
going to. Oh man, I don't know if I could top that.
Beyond.
No,
That's what they did. That's the okay. Forget.
All right, yeah. Let's do no. So our first story is that the big question right now is Pokemon Delta Emerald the next Pokemon remake? So a couple weeks ago, right? Game Freak, the Pokemon company, specifically announced, Pokemon Company International, announced that there were remakes of Ruby and Sapphire being made, right? Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. And that was a big deal. Everyone's excited on 3DS in November. Folks are really happy about that. But there is a third piece to that puzzle, which is Emerald. Pokemon Emerald was it's kind of like Pokemon Yellow, right? It's the third one. It has other certain Pokemon in it that maybe the other two don't have. And
It's like Nintendo's Dash End edition.
yeah, and so website Gematsu reported that there was a trademark submitted earlier this month that went public today. And so the question is this going to be also another Pokemon remake? Will there be a third one? So for context, before you guys weigh in, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green were remakes, and Game Freak and Pokemon Company decided not to remake Pokemon Yellow. First thing. Second thing happened. It happened one other time when they remade Heart Gold and Soul Silver on DS. They did not also remake the updated Pokemon Crystal. So what do you guys think? Is Pokemon Delta Emerald a thing?
It's a good question. I feel like you can never really predict where they're going to go with this. Just because they haven't done it a couple of times doesn't mean they're not going to do it now. You know, especially when they're looking at 3DS not doing quite as well as they were hoping to, right? I mean, it's a very successful system out there, and Pokemon games sell really well. They may just say, "Hey, let's do another release because we have too much of a gap before the next, the next Pokemon game or the next 3DS title."
Yeah,
I could see it happen.
I was thinking the same thing. Like you don't want to throw everything in the book at the wall to see what sticks. But I do think that putting out a Pokemon game in the gap between the next one is good to kind of get people to keep people associated with this is their Pokemon system.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they're probably going to start looking at some of their other IPs and quality of life stuff to keep that going. But like you
Cat
said,
Mario's not dead. What are you doing?
Oh,
If you're a listener, Mario is now carrying Cat Mario. You're not seeing this.
which is not canon.
But
Yeah.
isn't also? I mean, it feels like we're restarting Pokemon on the 3DS because you couldn't transfer a lot of the old Pokemon over, right? Like you couldn't do the 1-for-1 transfer with a lot of games over, and so maybe they're just kind of creating more of a baseline to get you more Pokemon like you were able to have on the older games.
So I don't think they're going to remake a third one. I think it's just sort of register the trademark, maybe not. But I will say this. I have a pie-in-the-sky idea that will never happen. Do you guys want to hear it?
Is it the iOS Pokemon game?
No, it is not. My pie-in-the-sky idea is that if Delta Emerald is a thing, I would love if it was a Wii U game.
Oh.
Now, I think that for years, right, Pokemon Company has said, and Nintendo has said, both of them, that Pokemon is a dedicated gaming portable game, like a handheld game. 3DS, DS, whatever the system is, that's where Pokemon should be.
They actually laughed once when we asked about.
Really?
They're
console
like
Pokemon?
The designer thought it was a ridiculous question.
Why?
Like, why on a console? It's like, no, it's a handheld game.
What? So
What?
Because I think when they plan the game, that is at the very top is go out and meet somebody. That was probably at the very top of the list.
But here's my counter to that. So that made sense for a very long time.
Different times now. No, for
but
sure.
now, with the way Pokemon X and Y use the internet, this isn't an age anymore where you need link cables and you need to go meet someone. You can do global trading. You can do battles. You can do wonder trading. There are so many different factors to Pokemon now that are all part of online. And you are actually never alone as long as you're connected to the internet playing Pokemon. So now feels like the right time for that. And I do wish if they were to introduce it, that it would be done in that fashion where maybe, and some folks will probably listen to this and say, heresy, I don't want to buy another copy of Pokemon. But think about it. If there is a base game on 3DS that you take out there in the world on your gaming portable, and then at home you have the option of, well, I own this third game that I can then just pull everything into.
You can trade with yourself.
Or just, also resume regular functions or something through that.
So I think that's actually not a bad theory because they've been very vocal on, Virtual Console and adding handheld games to it. And could this be kind of like a special edition handheld VC game too?
They need reasons to keep Pokemon Bank open.
That's kind of cool.
Quite frankly, too, if they're charging a subscription fee for it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we got those 2 Pokemon games announced as well. But we'll see.
Not a bad theory.
Sure.
Thank you. But I think it's pie in the sky. I don't think it'll happen. But maybe if you're listening to this and you agree with me, let us know. Email NVC at
I don't know if
IGN.com.
I fundamentally believe in that ideology that something should only stay on a handheld forever. Like
I don't think. Yeah,
I
agree.
honestly think like as someone like me who doesn't really get into the Pokemon games, that like I'll play a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
I think a console would be what gets me to do that. Like I think I would sit down in front of my television and dig into a game that deep. Like I don't know if like I understand why they laughed, but it's like you're missing out on tons of people. That
I think they laughed when it was less internet focused and more.
it was like in
cable.
2012.
Yeah, I was
where
gonna.
nobody.
No,
I'm just kidding.
You're freaking
I'm
lying.
kidding.
You didn't talk to those guys in 2012.
No, it was a while back. But I mean, already people were trading data on consoles, so it's not. It wasn't a ridiculous question to ask for us.
I think it's a ridiculous assumption to make nowadays that anybody interacts with anybody else. I think most people are just so head down, isolated with things. I mean, I don't, when I was growing up, like we did get together with link cables and play, stupid multi-tap Game Boy games and stuff like that. But I think kids now are mostly headphones on and kind of staring at a screen.
Do you ever like consciously look at the world and like just look at people walking around texting while they're walking? It's so weird. Like if you had taken footage of a modern day street and put it into an 80s movie, like in a John Hughes movie, it would have been like, oh my God, aliens are here. What have they done with people?
I did that. I take the train and this is a little side trip.
Sure.
I take the train into work every single day, and I'll randomly look up from my own phone to look down the train line and just be like, I wonder how many people on this train right now are staring at a phone.
Yeah.
And the other day, I saw a guy reading a book, and I was like, "That's weird."
Yeah.
A real book.
Some days I would count. I'd be like, "Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4," just because I was bored and I couldn't. Like, if I'm standing and I have nothing to do because I don't want to have my phone out the whole time, I just look around and count how many people are looking at screens, and it is actually really scary.
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, I don't know if it's scary. It's just so different, right?
It's different.
It's scary to me. Yeah. No one's paying attention.